On the corner of Maple and 3rd, in a narrow brick house with ivy climbing its sides, lived James and Clara Whitmore, a couple who loved each other with the kind of intensity that could warm a room or burn it down. They had met 7 years earlier at a summer art festival in Chicago. Clara had been arguing, passionately, with a vendor about the pricing of a sculpture. James, who had only stopped by for a lemonade, found himself mesmerized not by the artwork, but by her fire. She was unapologetic, expressive, alive. When she turned and noticed him watching, she didn't blush. "What?" she'd asked. "I've never seen someone negotiate like that," he'd replied. "And win," she challenged. He'd smiled. "And win." That was Clara. Bold, brilliant, sometimes overwhelming. And James, he was steady, thoughtful, the kind of man who weighed his words and meant every one of them. Their love had never been quiet. It was laughter too loud at midnight. It was arguments about politics, art, money, dreams. It was dancing barefoot in the kitchen after midnight takeout. It was slammed doors followed by whispered apologies. But lately, something had shifted. Clara had taken a new job in marketing. High pressure, high visibility, high stakes. Late nights became common. New colleagues, networking events, clubs after client meetings. James told himself he trusted her. He did trust her. But trust didn't silence insecurity. And insecurity, when unspoken, grows teeth. Friday night arrived heavy with tension. Clara stood in their bedroom, before the mirror, slipping into a sleek black dress that shimmered under the lamplight. Her dark hair fell over her shoulders in waves. She looked stunning. James sat on the edge of the bed, watching her. "You're going out again?" he asked, his voice calm but edged. She didn't turn around. "I told you. It's Olivia's birthday. At a club." Clara exhaled slowly. "Yes, at a club." James nodded, jaw tight. "What time will you be home?" She spun around then, eyes flashing. "James, why does it matter?" "Because it's almost every weekend now. And I barely see you." The room thickened. Clara stepped closer, her heels clicking sharply against the hardwood. "So, what are you saying?" "I'm saying I miss my wife." Her expression softened for a split second, but pride reclaimed it. "You knew who I was when you married me." "I know," he said quietly, "but lately it feels like I'm competing with your world." She laughed once, sharp. "Competing? James, I am allowed to have a life." "I never said you weren't." "But you imply it. Every time you sigh, every time you ask what time I'll be home." He stood now, meeting her gaze. "I just want to feel like we're still us." Silence crackled between them. Clara grabbed her purse. "You know what?" she said, frustration rising. "If you can't handle me, end it." The words hung there. She hadn't meant divorce. She meant the tension, the doubt, the insecurity. But the phrase landed heavy, sharper than intended. James felt it like a physical blow. For years, he would have reacted differently. He would have defended himself, accused her of selfishness, begged for reassurance. But tonight, something shifted inside him. He stepped closer instead of away. "Clara," he said softly. She paused at the door, expecting anger. He reached for her hand, not forcefully, just enough to turn her back toward him. "I don't just handle you," he said, steady as stone. "I choose you." She blinked. "Every day," he continued. "Every flaw, every fire, every argument. I choose this. I choose you." Her lips parted, but no words came. "You're intense," he said with the faintest smile. "You're stubborn. You're fierce. And I love that about you. I don't want you smaller. I don't want you quieter. I want you exactly as you are." Her chest rose unevenly. "But don't confuse my insecurity with weakness," he added gently. "I'm not asking you to change. I'm asking to stand beside you, not behind you." Clara felt something unfamiliar in that moment. Not guilt, not anger, respect. She had expected a fight. Instead, she got certainty. And certainty is powerful. Without another word, she left for the club. But for the first time in months, she didn't feel triumphant walking away. She felt thoughtful. The club pulsed with bass and flashing lights. Laughter echoed over the music. Clara smiled, hugged Olivia, accepted a drink, but her mind wasn't fully there. Her friends noticed. "Earth to Clara," Olivia teased. "You look like you're thinking about quarterly reports." Clara forced a laugh. "Just tired." But she wasn't tired. She was replaying James' words. "I choose you. No accusations. No manipulation. No ultimatums. Just choice." Across town, James sat alone in the quiet house. He didn't turn on the television. He didn't scroll through his phone obsessively like he might have before. Instead, he sat at the kitchen table and reflected. Why had he been so afraid lately? It wasn't the club. It wasn't the friends. It was change. Clara was evolving, growing, expanding into spaces that intimidated him. And instead of admitting he feared being left behind, he had disguised that fear as control. That realization stung. Around midnight, Clara stepped outside the club for air. The cold wind brushed her cheeks. She pulled out her phone. No missed calls. No angry texts. Just a single message sent an hour earlier. "James, drive safe. I'll leave the porch light on." That was it. No tracking. No guilt. Just care. Her throat tightened unexpectedly. Inside, a coworker, Mark, approached her earlier with flirtatious ease. Normally, she would have brushed it off playfully. But tonight, she saw it differently. James wasn't trying to cage her. He was choosing her. And that meant something. She left the club earlier than planned. The porch light glowed like a quiet promise when Clara pulled into the driveway. Inside, James was on the couch, reading. He looked up when the door opened. "You're home early," he observed gently. She removed her heels slowly. "Yeah." He waited. She walked toward him, studying his face like she was seeing it clearly for the first time in months. "You didn't text me," she said. "You were out having fun." "You didn't worry? I trust you." Her eyes glistened. "James, why are you so calm?" He closed his book. "Because loving you isn't a battle," he said. "It's a decision." Her composure cracked. "I've been selfish," she whispered. "No," he replied. "You've been ambitious. And you." "I've been scared." That honesty shattered the final wall. She sat beside him. "I never wanted you to feel behind me," she said. I've worked so hard for this promotion. I didn't want to lose momentum. And I didn't want to lose us." Their foreheads touched. No shouting. No pride. Just truth. The weeks that followed weren't magically perfect, but they were intentional. Clara began inviting James to networking events occasionally. Not because she had to, but because she wanted him there. James stopped masking vulnerability as criticism. When he felt insecure, he said it plainly. One evening, Clara canceled a club outing. "Staying home?" James asked. "Choosing you," she said with a wink. He laughed. The fire between them didn't disappear. It matured. Arguments still happened, but they no longer threatened the foundation, because now they understood something deeper. Love isn't about handling someone. It's about choosing them, even when they're difficult. Especially when they're difficult. Months later, Clara stood on a stage accepting an award for her campaign's success. In the audience, James watched with quiet pride. When she stepped down, the first person she searched for was him. Not her boss, not her co-workers, him. "You look terrified," she teased. "I was," he admitted. "Why?" "Because I love watching you shine." She smiled softly. "And I love knowing you're not threatened by it." He took her hand. "I'm not threatened by your fire," he said. "I'm warmed by it." She squeezed his fingers. "And I'm not asking you to handle me anymore," she replied. "I'm asking you to walk with me." He grinned. "Always." That night, as they drove home under city lights, Clara rested her head on his shoulder. The arguments hadn't ended their marriage. They had refined it, because sometimes the most powerful reply isn't loud, it's steady, and sometimes love doesn't need to fight. It just needs to choose, again, and again, and again.